Thanks for the organizers to inviting. It's a challenging task to give a presentation about something that contains a lot of buzzwords such as design thinking, smart cities. So I'll try to put them aside a bit and talk a bit about what we do at the Sensible City Lab in Boston, and specifically in the Live Singapore project, which is a project that started 2 years ago as a 5-year research project that we are involved in currently. To talk a bit about what we're interested at the Sensible City Lab. My background is in industrial design. I work together with people from computer science, engineering, architecture, urban studies, and planning. And we are interested in the increasing amount of data that's being generated by urban infrastructures, networks, systems. Think of the transportation system, the telecommunication system, electricity grids. All these systems in cities generate digital data as a consequence of them just operating as we speak and in real time. And we are interested increasingly to understand how can we create connections between these increasing layers, digital layers that pervade our cities and urban space. What we are focusing on in Singapore is not so much the historic data sets covered by these initiatives, but really trying to move from an open platform for historic data to one that considers real-time data as a fundamental basis, bringing together data streams from urban networks on a platform that enables application design by a large number of developers. Why we are doing this? Underlying is very much the idea of closing a feedback loop between activities that are being carried out in the cities, actions carried out by people that follow their goals, whatever these goals might be, and the increasing amount of digital traces that we all leave behind as we carry out our activities in urban space, providing people information based on real-time data that gives them a more accurate information on what's actually happening in their city around them to enable them to take decisions that are more in sync with their environment. Linking to the aspect of co-creation that's been mentioned before in one of the talks before. In this case, we've worked together with the airport of Singapore, Changi Airport, which is one of the major hubs in the region, Comfort Delgro Taxi Company that operates 16,000 taxis that all have GPS on board and share the data from these GPS units with the system. The Energy Market Authority and the electricity provider, SP Services, the National Environmental Agency, the port, as well as the cell phone operator in Singapore. Sharing this for 1 month in Singapore at the Singapore Art Museum, giving people access to their city in new ways and really allowing them to themselves to explore what dynamics emerge when looking at these data sets. That was a beautiful building in Singapore, the Singapore Art Museum. And following is a short video which summarizes 5 of these data visualizations that we showcased in Singapore. See these visualizations and engaging with the Transport Authority, it really became clear that these tools are great platforms to actually bring together people from very different domains. Before, we've worked with taxi data in Singapore, 16,000 taxis moving around the city permanently, continuously, every second, every few seconds, reporting to the system their location, their speed, as well as their status, whether they're occupied, whether they're empty, whether they're on call, or so forth. So we thought, well, that's interesting because having all this coverage of an entire city with speed measurements at different locations at second intervals could perhaps lead us to getting some idea about where accelerations happen, stop-and-go behavior in traffic. And we know that emissions are high where acceleration happens. It's not so much the speed at which cars travel, but it's really where the stop-and-go behavior, where accelerations happen, that emissions are being generated, particularly. So that's what we did. We computed an acceleration map using the taxi data from all these 16,000 taxis by extracting the data with a sample time that was reasonable and gradually extrapolating accelerations in squares, in pixel squares of the island, to then gradually drill it down to identifying where acceleration happens. Some of the policy questions that we've run into, increasingly developing technologies, and that's what we do. We explore new technologies at MIT, obviously. Increasingly, working in Singapore has brought us in contact with policymakers who thought, well, new possibilities opened up by these technologies put policies, current policies, under strain in terms of how to work on an urban real-time data platform. Really very much about defining a clear vision about what it is that we want to achieve as an end goal that has enabled us to get various providers, people from various domains on board to join in. If different domains or different network operators, researchers don't know what it is that's the ultimate goal, it's very hard to get them on board and join a mission that's new to them. The design vision, if that's clearly defined at the end, and as you go through the project, really helps you steer the project along its path and gives leeways to partners to bring in challenges, difficulties in constructive ways. Not doing it, not working with data in cities today, not working with data generated by urban systems and infrastructures that are generated regardless, just as a side product, is really like throwing opportunities out of the window as we speak. Since this data is being generated as we speak now, and not using it for novel applications in order to benefit people in the city, reduce energy consumption of our cities, and reduce emissions generated by our cities, is really like losing out on a great opportunity that we all have. And with that, I'd like to conclude, and thank you very much for your attention.